What's up, slashes and slashettes? My name's Nightfall, and welcome back to another anime analysis video. Today we will be discussing who I consider to be the greatest shonen protagonist, Denji from Chainsaw Man. To start off, let's go through a basic rundown of what we know about his backstory. When Denji was a kid, his father died, leaving Denji not only alone, but also with a massive debt to the Yakuza. One that, even many years later, he hasn't been able to pay off. When he was younger, he also met Pochita, an injured and dying chainsaw devil. He gives Pochita some of his blood in order to heal him, and that's what starts their friendship. Going back to the debt, the small amount he managed to pay off was due to him selling his eye, kidney, and testicle, while also pretty much willing to do anything for a little extra cash. However, most notably, and the most important to the plot, he also killed devils for the Yakuza. While he did get some money, the majority of it went to the Yakuza, leading to Denji living in a rundown shack and living off of bread and anything else he could find in dumpsters and trash. After killing the Tomato Devil, he talks to Pochita about his dreams and how one of his goals is to eat bread with jam on it. He then is led to a warehouse by the Yakuza under the impression that it was a devil hunting job, but it turned out that the Yakuza were in a deal with the zombie devil, and they end up killing both Denji and Pochita and tossing them in a dumpster. However, since they chopped up Denji's body, his blood eventually found its way to Pochita's mouth, bringing him back to life. Pochita then becomes Denji's heart as he wants Denji to live and wants to see the dreams in life Denji was talking about. This not only brought him back to life and gave him his eye back, but also turned him into Chainsaw Man. And he proceeds to kill or defeat, or I don't know. The zombies come back later in the season, so I don't really know how that works. But anyways, for this video, I'll just say he kills the zombies along with the zombie devil. Enter Makima, a high-ranking devil hunter of public safety, who takes Denji in, feeds him, and gives him a job as a devil hunter. This leads to him meeting Aki, another devil hunter who's pretty stern and focused on killing the gun devil. Both of them hate each other at the start, but seemingly get a little bit closer as the season progresses. Later, he meets Power, the Blood Fiend who he also hates at first, but eventually, especially during their training with Kishibe, develops an almost sibling-like relationship with. And then he also meets Arai, Himeno, and Kobeni. And then, towards the end of the season, a couple of fiends and devils who are now a part of the same division. This job also leads to him killing the Eternity Devil and defeating Katana Man, while also on a quest to find and kill the Gun Devil so he can do a little something with Makima, you know what I'm saying? Now, obviously I may have missed certain things, but I feel like I covered the major plot points of his backstory that are crucial to this video. If I did miss something or didn't go as in-depth with something as you'd like, I do apologize, but this segment is getting long, so I'm gonna cut it here and move on to why I consider Denji to be the best shonen protagonist. The reason why I personally believe Denji is the best written shonen protagonist is because of his goals, how they are written, and, obviously, how his own character is written. You see, when I look for a good protagonist, I look for three characteristics. I look for a character I can relate to, feel sympathy for, and understand. So let's go through this list with Denji. To start off with, let's talk about his relatability. Denji is an extremely relatable protagonist. He was extremely poor, which, granted, the vast majority of viewers can't relate to how poor he was, but the fact he was poor nonetheless does allow him to be relatable to a very large amount, if not the majority, of viewers. On top of that, his goal of wanting to touch booba, have sex, and the biggest one, get a girlfriend, are common goals for a lot of people who just want to experience affection, relationships, and maybe a little bit more than that, if you catch my drift. But the true reason as to why he's relatable is because his goals are realistic. He even says himself how he once gave up the thought of having a girlfriend, but now that he has a job, is debt-free, at least when it comes to Yakuza, and has a better life than he's ever had, getting a girlfriend is actually achievable. But it's also realistic in the sense that it's something the majority of us viewers can also achieve. I mean, think about other protagonists' goals. You have Naruto, who ultimately wants to become Hokage. That's like us going, oh, I want to be mayor, or even governor. Or Luffy wanting to be a pirate king, or Deku wanting to be the #1 hero. These goals are great to have, obviously, as they give the character an end goal. However, unlike Denji wanting to get a girlfriend, it's an end goal that the majority of us viewers can't actually relate to, so not only is it a realistic goal for him as a character, but also a realistic goal for us, which makes him even more relatable. With the relatability done, let's talk about being able to sympathize with him. To do that, we can journey back to his past. Not only did his father die the way he did, but Denji was stuck with his large debt, sold parts of himself, ate out dumpsters, could barely afford bread, and could also barely afford to even survive. On top of that, he also apparently had a hereditary heart disease that was causing him to cough up blood. Further on top of that, no one ever treated him kindly. The only company and friend he had through all this was Pochita, and maybe the girl at the very end of the season, but I don't know who that is or anything about her, so for right now, to the anime watcher's knowledge, Pochita was his only company. Also, please don't spoil anything in my comments. His biggest goal prior to meeting Makima was to eat jam on bread. Yeah, that's it. That was the thing he wanted the most. Was something most of us take for granted and just have in our fridge. His backstory is extremely tragic, which makes you feel sorry for him. He also seems to feel less empathy and emotions than most people, as he doesn't really feel anything towards Himeno's death, and even states that he wouldn't be all that bothered by Makima's if she died. Now, Power also has this lack in empathy and emotions, but there is one difference. Power is a devil, and has always been a devil, while Denji was human. He should still have basic emotions, and this is actually brought up by Katana Man, who states that is not due to Pochita acting as Denji's heart, because he has the Katana Devil acting as his, and he still feels empathy. Granted, he is a murderer, so it's hard to believe that, but he does seem to be telling the truth. So where am I going with this? Well, the reason why Denji simply feels little to no emotions towards death and things like that is most likely due, unless it does turn out to be because of Pochita, to his tragic backstory, and him experiencing death and horrendous treatment at a young age up until he was 16 and met Makima. And that can also be something that sparks feelings of sympathy towards his character. To further explore how his trauma affects him as a character, let's talk about understanding him, which is actually pretty easy. He remains a devil hunter and does whatever Makima says. The reasons for that is because he wants to protect the life he has now and get closer to the one who gave it to him, that being Makima. He has a well-kept apartment, actual food, jam on bread, and doesn't have to worry about the Yakuza taking his money. He's living the best life he's ever had. Of course he'd want to protect it. And Makima not only gave him that life, but was also the first person to ever treat him with kindness and has always comforted him. Of course he developed feelings and want to get closer with her. You can sympathize with his situation. His goals are not only relatable, but are realistic. And you can understand why he has them and why he does what he does, which is rare. Usually characters, especially protagonists, are missing one or more of these characteristics, but Denji has all three, and they are all wonderfully written. Of course, there's also minor facts like how he's fucking awesome during fights and stuff, but for me personally, his backstory, goals, and the overall writing of his character are why I believe he is not only one of, but the greatest shonen protagonist. So, I've really been on a chainsawman kick lately, and I decided I was either going to do an analysis of the show itself, Denji, or Makima, and I settled on Denji just because I had a better understanding of what I wanted to talk about with him, more so than the other two options. While writing the script, I was also kind of nervous, because I really want to do Chainsaw Man justice, and I'm worried I may have missed something or not done enough. This script just feels empty for some reason. I don't really know what I'm missing. But I mean, it is what it is, I guess. I can always revisit Denji later and improve on it, so with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If it's your birthday, happy birthday, and I'll hopefully see you all soon. Goodbye.